Welcome to the Earning Freedom Podcast. I am Michael Santos with michaelsantos.com and prisonprofessor.com. You may notice this time that I'm doing two things. Not only am I recording on audio, but I'm also recording on video. I'll be hosting I'm going to try and make a practice of that in 2016 for a lot of reasons. And I'm really excited to share those reasons with you today, in addition to expressing a bit of an apology for not producing as much content as I was during the earlier months and during last year when I was trying to produce a podcast episode every single day. Well, I have now 200 episodes up on the Earning Freedom Podcast. Now it's the next stage of the journey. And the next stage of the journey is trying to build a more effective methodology that I could introduce these courses into prisons across the United States. And I want to spend the time with you today letting you know what has transpired during the first couple of weeks of January of 2016, why I am so busy right now, but why I'm more excited than ever that I'm going to have this opportunity to connect with more people who are either going into the prison system, serving time in the prison system, or on their way out of the prison system. You see, I really have always believed that I have a duty and a responsibility to try and share this message to as many people as possible. Why? Because I'm an individual who's gone through that process, through every stage of that process. And those of you who have been listening to the Earning Freedom Podcast for a while know, I made some really foolish decisions when I was 20 years old. As a consequence of those foolish decisions, I went to prison and I was incarcerated for 26 consecutive years. And now I'm back in society. And it's been about 2.5 years since I've been back. And I'm working really hard, building my career. And part of my career is showing that anybody can do it. Anybody can face struggle and come back successfully. Anybody. And so, I've been working hard over the past 2.5 years to try to build a record that would demonstrate that, so that I wouldn't just be a guy who's talking about it, but rather a guy who's doing it and can persuade other people that they can do it. And right now, some really exciting developments are in the way that I look forward to sharing with you. And that's what I'm going to do on this episode. All right? So it all goes back to telling you on January the 8th, I was back inside of a federal prison. And some people might think, oh God, that's kind of frightening to go back to prison after you've been in there for 26 years. But for me, it was a great sense of accomplishment because I was going back in to the United States Penitentiary in Atwater, which was the same prison that released me in August of 2012 when I transitioned to a halfway house. And I want to tell you how it was possible for me to get back into the United States Penitentiary in Atwater. And that requires some backstory. And it requires even more, will help you understand the purpose of the Earning Freedom Podcast. So let me take you back to the fall of 2015. I received an invitation from a federal judge. His name was Judge Pyle from Arizona. And he invited me to come and provide a keynote presentation to a conference that he was sponsoring for judges and correctional leaders from across the country. And that conference was called the Ninth Circuit Corrections Summit. It was held in Sacramento. And so I was, it wasn't the first time that I'd spoken to a body of federal judges, but it was pretty encouraging because I was going to be the keynote speaker there. So I really wanted to address those individuals. I wanted to share with them my story. I also wanted to share with them strategies or improvements that we could make in the country to improve outcomes of the prison system. So I flew up there, and while I was in Sacramento, I had an opportunity to meet a fellow who was the warden of Atwater. And he came up and he introduced himself to me, and we had a conversation. I knew him several years previously when I was in Lompoc. And he asked me, what am I doing? Why am I in this conference? What's going on with my life? And really was very welcoming, actually, and encouraged me to continue on with this work. So I told him my story, and he said, well, why don't you come up to Atwater when you have an opportunity? And I'd love to share it with the guys and see if you can inspire the guys inside. Now, Atwater is a United States penitentiary. It's a high security penitentiary. It holds people of every security level. And many of the people there are serving life sentences. So I really felt, yes, I definitely want to go. I definitely want to go in and try and inspire these people. But I asked the warden, I said, look, I don't only want to give a speech, which is just a one-day event. I want to present you with a program that's long-lasting and that can really move the needle as far as helping these people see that the decisions that they make inside are going to have a direct relationship when they get outside. So awesome, he gave me his business card. And after I encouraged him to watch my presentation at the show, and he did at the conference. And then afterwards, I came back and I did follow up by sending him an email, and he introduced me to some members on his team, and that led to a correspondence. I let them know more about my program, and then they gave me an invitation, a formal invitation, to come back to Atwater in January. And so all this began in early December, and then I had a formal invitation to go and on January the 8th at my own expense. That's part of the work, is you got to fund your own process. And so I purchased an airline ticket for January the 7th. I'd fly up there on January the 7th. I rented a car, and I flew up to Oakland, rented a car in Oakland, and then drove to Atwater, stayed in the hotel there, a local hotel. I think it was a Hampton Inn. Stayed in the hotel overnight, and got up really early the next morning, as I do every day. Went for a run. I think I was up at like 4 a.m. Went for a run around that area, just on those dark streets. And then I got back, put my suit on, got in my car, and drove to the penitentiary. And it was a bit of an eerie feeling driving back to the penitentiary after having been gone for so long, but it was a feeling of actual excitement. I couldn't wait to get in there and give a presentation, because I wanted to show people that there is life on the other side, and they can come back successfully. So I go in there and I meet, there was somebody there to meet me at the gate, and then I go through the security requirements, which is kind of like going security at the airport, and I'm led into a massive conference room. And then, people started to trickle in, and then finally the warden came in. I think our meeting was at 8 o'clock in the morning. The warden came in. So there were about 3 associate wardens, the warden, and I would say maybe 7 or 8 more people of the leadership team there. Many of whom I knew when I was incarcerated there in Atwater, just a couple of years previously. And so the warden was very generous in giving me a welcoming message, and talk about what his goal was, that he wanted to inspire people in prison. And he'd heard me speak, and he wanted to hear more about the program that I had created, which is the Earning Freedom course. And then I had an opportunity to tell the team why I really felt confident that I could add value to them. I could help them inspire people who were living without hope. And the reason that I could do it was because I was authentic, 100% authentic. I never asked anybody to do anything that I didn't do. And I told them how the process worked, and I didn't bring anything with me. It was just me speaking. So I couldn't bring the books that I wrote. I couldn't bring the course that I was trying to get them to do, the Earning Freedom Mastermind course. All I could do was talk, but I'm very passionate about this work, and I'm very determined to share this message with as many people as I can. And I was grateful to have this audience of correctional professionals listening to me, listening to why I believe that I could connect with individuals that have a hard time maintaining a high level of energy and discipline, and I wanted them to understand why I believed that I could add value to those people. And so I think it was well received. I spoke for perhaps in that conference room for 40 or 45 minutes, and then the warden invited me to make a presentation to the men. And so he led me from the conference room into an actual housing unit where there were about 200 people inside of the housing unit. And these guys were the real deal. I mean, they were in there, many of whom were serving sentences, life without the possibility of parole. Many of them had been incarcerated for many, many months. And it was really something that felt very, very real for me, because I was in those types of environments before, and I really wanted to connect with them. But there's 200 guys, and they don't know what's coming. They don't know who I am. I'm dressed at the time in a nice blue suit and pocket square. They probably looked at me and thought I was a probation officer or a lawyer or somebody else, a psychologist coming in there talking. A lot of guys go into the prison. So the warden introduced me, and after he introduced me, I took the stand. I spoke for 2 hours. And during those 2 hours, I initially opened up just saying, I know exactly what it's like to be celebrating a new year in prison. And when I say I know exactly what I like, let me tell you what I mean. I served 9,500 days in prison. I was celebrating New Year's 26 different times as a federal prisoner. So I absolutely know what they're going through. But I also want them to know that the decisions that they make while they're inside of these places has a direct influence and relationship to what they're going to experience going through their prison experience and when they come home. And even if they have a life sentence, they still have the possibility of influencing a better outcome. And I wanted them to see that, and I wanted them to know that I was connecting with them and that I was authentic with them. And so I really did my best to deliver a powerful presentation, or as powerful as I could possibly make it, walking them through my own story of how I was sucked into the criminal justice system, and then walking them through the strategy that I used as I went through the criminal justice proceedings and into the prison system, how I was able to, I wanted them to understand what strategy I used to maintain a high level of energy and discipline every single day of the 9,500 days that I served. I wanted them to know how I thought about my adjustment pattern, what was important to me. And I wanted to question them, what's important to you? Because organically, I wanted them to come to this conclusion that they had the power within to build a better outcome, just as we all have the power within to build a better outcome. And it was really exciting because the men were engaged. They'd ask questions and I would respond with more questions, getting them to come up with the answer of what success means. I want them to define success. I want them to figure out how to articulate values by which they're going to live. I wanted them to articulate what clear goals reflect their commitment to those values. I wanted them then to talk about their attitude, whether they are making 100% commitment to success. Talk about what aspirations they had for becoming something more than an individual who's living in struggle. I wanted them to define the action plan that they intended to employ every single day that would help them emerge successfully. I wanted them to develop our accountability metrics that they could define so that they knew whether they were on course. I wanted them to tell me what they were doing to stay aware of opportunities that they could create or opportunities that they could seize by simply being real. I wanted them to tell me how they were celebrating every achievement, no matter how small, even though they may have years or decades to serve. I wanted those men to be able to tell me how they were expressing their appreciation and gratitude for the blessings that came their way. And if they could do that, that's when they would become self-actualized. They would know that they are ready for success upon release. They would know that they have the capacity within to influence other people to believe in them. And that was really the focus of my message that day. And I can tell you, they paid me an enormous compliment when 200 men, many of whom were serving life sentences in a high-security penitentiary, stood up and gave me a standing ovation. Because when that happened, I knew that I had 200 men who weren't thinking about crime, weren't thinking about negative thoughts. They were saying, I can be successful too. They were saying to themselves, I can get out of this prison and build a life of relevance and meaning. And that is what I was all about. And so I told them about the Earning Freedom program and what I had created and how I was striving to bring it into the penitentiary. And, they were excited about it. And they were started asking questions of when can we get it here? And the warden said he was going to work with me. And so, it was really a very effective day for me and very gratifying to be able to connect with those people, because I feel a sense of I don't know what to call it, but I mean, I as of today, I've still lived more of my life inside of prisons than I've lived out. And so I have a connection with people I left behind, and I want to show those people what they can do to get through it successfully and come home successfully. That's really what my mission is all about. And so I wanted to give that message to those guys, and I really felt by their standing ovation that I succeeded. And when I left, now I went back to the warden's conference room with just the warden, an associate warden, and a couple of other leaders of the team. And we had a conversation, and basically his question was, well, what's it going to take for us to bring this program in here? And I was honest with him. I said, look, I want to work with your team. I want to provide something within your budget that will make this work, because my vision is to go through all the prisons across the country. And I want to prove worthy of that opportunity, and I will do it. And so, he asked me again about the number and all. I said, look, I need to process this, because I need to figure out, after what I've learned here today, how I can deliver it. See, I've already sold this program to other places, but I sold a digital version, meaning they would just get the same links that you're accessing, and they could use them for commercial purposes inside of the institution. But there are challenges in the Bureau of Prisons, so they wanted me to produce them on actual discs. So that was going to cost some expense, and it was going to cost a lot of time, and I'd have to bring in some outsourcing help. So I had to recalculate the budget for that. And I just asked him for a little bit of time. So I asked him, could you give me, until Tuesday? And I met with him on a Friday. I said, give me until Tuesday, and I'll send you a detailed proposal with some suggestions. And so I thought a lot about it, how I'm going to do it. And I wrote a very detailed proposal and showed them what it looked like. And I was so excited, because on Wednesday, I got the okay of what they're going to go with. And let me tell you what they're going with and why I'm excited about it. So what I'm providing and producing for the Bureau of Prisons is a series. First of all, I'm providing the Earning Freedom Mastermind course, which looks like this, right? It's a workbook, and it's got lessons in there, and it teaches the course that I try and teach every day through all of my work, right? I'm authentic and transparent, and that's what I show other people how to do, and I push them through the program. But in addition to that, I was filming it on DVD, much like I'm doing right now. In addition to filming the DVDs, I would produce it on audio, so that they'd have the entire course on discs. And they could put those discs in the library, and the men would be able to listen and learn at their leisure. It's like a 24-hour available program for people to do at will, or guys could take it and they could teach a course around it and earn a certificate, and so on and so forth. But in addition to the Earning Freedom course, I was also going to take my entire library. I told you I've got more than 200 episodes online right now. I was going to put those in packages and burn those onto CDs and send those into the men and record more, so that every week or every month I would send them an additional CD with new content on there, so that the men could be learned not only from me, but from the other formerly incarcerated individuals whom I've interviewed, and also from business leaders and CEOs and community leaders, and anybody else who had a positive message. I would record those as well. But I'm recording them not only on CDs now, but as much as I can, I'm going to be recording on video. So that's kind of my message for you today, is you will see that in the weeks to come, I'm developing all of this coursework. Actually, before I went, I forgot to mention, but after I got that invitation to go up to Atwater, I made a deal. I said, I never ask anybody to do anything I wouldn't do, and I'm really into setting goals. So I said I was going to write a book within a month before the end of the year. I'm going to finish it, write a book, and publish a book so I could take inside of the men, because I wanted to give them something tangible. And so I wrote this book, right? It's called Success After Prison: How I Built Assets Worth $1 Million Within 2 Years of Release from 26 Years Inside, and How You Can Succeed Too. Now, it's a little book. I mean, it's only 175 pages or so, I think, something like that. Maybe more, 180 pages or something like that. But I wrote this book because I wanted to show the men that I'm just not going in there filled with happy talk about what can happen, right? I wanted to show them that not only did I succeed in prison, but that strategies helped me succeed in society. And now it's accurate. I've got pictures in here and everything of how I've built my business and what I'm doing and how I built an asset portfolio that as of today is, valued at about $1.3 million and growing because I continue to build upon it. I want to show people that it's not a game. Regardless of what struggle you're going through, you can build a path to a better life. And that's what I wanted to show them. So I wrote this book, and the course includes these books. So these men are going to have these real life lessons to learn from. And I'm excited because it's kind of like a case study where when I'm working there at USP Atwater, I'll be able to then translate it to other penitentiaries around the United States and offer not only the course on video with the workbooks and with the CDs, but also on audio, but also a series of CDs where I'm recording new content, sending it into the prison, and the men can have this endless stream of positive information at a reasonable price. And I'm looking forward to sending it around to other prisons around the country and then to schools in the United States, showing people this is a path to break through struggle. This is a path to succeed upon release. So now one of the reasons that you haven't been hearing me on here as frequently as I would like, it doesn't mean I haven't been recording. In fact, you hear my voice today is a little bit hoarse. I am actually reading all of this on audio and video, and I'm going to be releasing them once I have the entire process built. I want to have like 50 episodes built, and then I'll release a new one every single day, not only on Earning Freedom, but on a new podcast that I'm going to launch called Success After Prison. And I intend to not only read, of course, but I also give, much more content, elaborate on the content, because I can think and elaborate and share. And I do it in 20-minute episodes. So it's something you can look forward to. I would say if that's something you're interested in, I'll probably start that approach, maybe at the end of, maybe mid-February I'll be ready. I've got to have everything ready. So there's a tremendous amount of work beforehand to get to that stage. And I'm just really excited. If any of you would like a copy of the book, a digital copy, you can get it. Just go to michaelsantos.com and enter your email, and the email pop up, and I'll be sending digital downloads of the book to people who join my emailing list. So anyway, I'm really excited to have shared this message with you. I'm really excited to let you know that if you've got a loved one in prison, if you are going to prison, it's not too much longer before I will have the Earning Freedom courses and podcasts and lesson plans and library going into prisons across the United States. I'm really excited about that because I really feel that's what my purpose is to do, is to show people that regardless of what struggle you're going through today, you can begin sowing seeds for a better outcome. And it's my job to help you get there. That's what I try and do. I'm 100% authentic. I'm 100% transparent. And, I give away more content than I sell, as you can see, because if you're watching my stuff on YouTube or, you don't pay anything for it. But all of it is part of a purpose. It helps me feel as though I am contributing to society, or as one of the masterminds from whom I learned, Mahatma Gandhi, spoke and said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And that's what I'm striving to do, to be the change that I want to see in the world. So that's message that I wanted to share with you today. I am Michael with michaelsantos.com, and I'll have some show notes that are available on the websites, of course. And I'll be bringing you I've got a couple of episodes scheduled later this week. Let me see who's scheduled to be on the show. I can show you right here. Let's see, I'll pull up my calendar. I've got, tomorrow I'm scheduled to interview 2 people actually. So I'll be looking forward to sharing their stories. So I'll be releasing episodes, I think tomorrow and over the next couple of days. I've got a few episodes scheduled, but it's going to be intermittent for a while because I'm getting all the final packaging together for the prisons. And I just wanted to thank you for your support of Earning Freedom, the podcast. I hope that you have subscribed to the podcast on iTunes And I hope that you've rated and reviewed the show, because that's really important for me to get more distribution. Your subscriptions, your ratings and review, it's all free. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps me connect with more people in prison and more people in struggle. And I hope that you will support it. If you're watching on YouTube, I do hope you'll subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I hope you've liked my Facebook page or follow me on Twitter at Michael G. Santos. Thanks again for your support. I'll be back with another inspiring episode soon. Thanks.